Most Americans have no idea what the average American is actually worth. And I do not mean that as an insult. I mean the number that gets repeated, the one that says the average American household has a net worth of over $300,000, is one of the most quietly misleading statistics in personal finance. Because that number is the mean, and the mean is being dragged upward by the people at the very top. When a billionaire walks into a room with 99 people who have nothing, the average net worth of that room becomes $10 million. Nobody in the room is actually worth $10 million, but the average says otherwise. The number that tells you the truth is the median, the middle, the person who is neither at the top nor the bottom. And the median net worth of an American household is closer to $192,000. Split that by age and the picture changes completely. Let me show you what the average American is actually worth at each stage of their life, and why the number at your age either tells you something reassuring or something important you need to hear. Under 35. The median net worth of Americans under 35 is around $13,000. $13,000. That number does not look impressive. Most people in their 20s and early 30s see it and feel behind. But here is what that number is not telling you. Under 35 is the only stage of life where your most valuable asset does not appear on a balance sheet at all. It is time. A 25-year-old with $13,000 in a broad index fund earning a historical average of 10% annually will have over $230,000 by 55, without adding a single extra dollar. The money is already working. The runway is what makes it extraordinary. The problem is not the 13,000. The problem is that most people under 35 are not invested at all. They have 13,000 in a checking account earning next to nothing, watching inflation quietly eat it from the outside. 35 to 44. By the mid-30s to mid-40s, the median climbs to around $91,000. The jump from under 35 to this range looks significant on paper. And it is. But this is also the decade where the wealth gap in America begins to split open visibly, because this is the decade of the house, the wedding, the children, the car upgrade, the lifestyle that expands to match the salary that finally started growing. The median hides what is actually happening in this range, which is that most of the $91,000 is home equity. Not invested assets, not liquid savings. The walls of the house a family is living in. The Americans who come out of this decade ahead are not the ones who earned more. They are the ones who kept investing during it. The ones who did not stop their 401k contributions when the baby arrived. The ones who did not raid the brokerage account for the kitchen renovation. Boring choices, enormous consequences. 45 to 54 median net worth in this decade is around $168,000. This is the decade most Americans start to panic. Retirement is suddenly a real horizon, not an abstract future problem. The math becomes uncomfortable, and a lot of people in their late 40s look at their retirement account and realize the gap between where they are and where they need to be is wider than they thought. There is a reason financial advisors call this the danger decade. Catch-up contributions to your 401k become available at 50, an additional $7,500 per year above the standard limit. Most people are not using them. The ones who close the gap in this decade do not do it by finding a smarter investment. They do it by increasing the amount they put in. That is the only lever available at this stage, and most people are not pulling it. 55 to 64 median net worth in this range is approximately $266,000. Here's the number most people are not ready for. To retire at 65 with the income a typical American expects to live on. Roughly $50,000 per year, using the standard 4% withdrawal rule, you need $1.25 million. The median American reaching retirement age has $266,000. That gap is not a crisis for everyone. Social Security fills some of it. A pension fills some of it for those who have one. Reduced spending in retirement fills some of it. But for a significant portion of Americans crossing into their mid-60s, The math does not work without a plan that should have started 10 years earlier. That is not a judgment. It is the reality of a country that privatized retirement without teaching its citizens what that actually requires. 65 and over. Median net worth climbs to approximately $250,000 for this group, actually slightly lower than the 55 to 64 range for many households because the spending down has begun. And here is the part of this number that almost never gets said clearly. The average American retiree is not wealthy. They are functional. Social Security plus modest savings plus reduced expenses produces a retirement that works. Narrowly, carefully, without much margin for error. One unexpected health cost. 1 year of inflation that runs above expectations. One adult child who needs help. The margin is thin. So, what is this actually telling you? If you are under 35, the number does not matter as much as what you do with the next 10 years. Time is doing the work you cannot yet afford to pay for. Invest something. Anything. Let it run. If you are between 35 and 50, the gap you feel is real, but it is not final. This decade has two sides. You can widen it, or you can spend your way across it. Every year you wait costs you compounding you can never get back. If you are over 50, the lever is not smarter investing. It is more. Catch-up contributions exist for a reason. Use them aggressively while the runway still exists. And at every age, the single most misleading thing you can do is compare yourself to the mean. The mean lies. The mean is propped up by people who have already won a game the rest of the country is still playing. Compare yourself to where you were a year ago. Compare yourself to the plan you have written down. Do not compare yourself to a number that a billionaire is quietly ruining for everyone else. The average American at your age is not as far ahead as you fear. They are not as secure as the headline suggests. And the gap between where most people end up and where a small set of deliberate, consistent choices take you is wider than almost anyone realizes until they are standing on one side or the other of it. You are choosing which side right now, not dramatically, not all at once. In the small, unglamorous, automatic decisions you either make or do not make this month. If this gave you a number to aim at, a benchmark to measure against, or an honest picture of where most Americans actually stand, subscribe to The Hidden Ledger. We cover the financial reality most people discover too late.